We love old cemeteries and churchyards, so come with us as we explore these places for the past. Today we are in Fife, and this is Dunino Churchyard and Cemetery, and the church is over there. We are going to have a closer look at that in a wee bit, but first of all we're going to go down into this graveyard. For what I've seen so far, it's quite eclectic. There are very new burials, like over there, extremely new. There's some here from the 2000s, but they go back to the 1800s, so let's go and see what we can see. We're going to start off in front of the church with this big grand tombstone. That seems like a good place to start. And this one is sacred to the memory of Mr. John Lever, who was for 26 years a tenant at Cabbage Halt, that's what it says. Died December 1814, aged 72 years. Let's see if we can find another date. Yeah, 1810, so we are back in the early 1800s, and this was erected by their grandson possibly, James Burns of London. That is quite a nice way to start. Let's have a look at the wee one next to it. It is erected for James Leslie in Kenaldy in memory of his father-in-law. Can we see a date? Yeah, it's doing a thing where the date vanishes. I think that says 1900 possibly. These are quite unusual. There's two stones side by side that are basically the same, but the actual lettering is full of moss, which makes them difficult to read. Buried here, something, can't see any of that, but you can see 1938 down there, aged, that might be an 85, and then years. The one next to it, let's have a look if we can see anything. Not really, it's 19 something, and that says about placed here by his wife. There are some much newer gravestones over there, which we're not quite so interested in. Let's go to this big one here. This is quite impressive, and it's almost legible. So it is John Duff, who died 1872, I think that says. I do these and then look at them later and see on the video that it's clearer that I'm talking nonsense, but I think that says 1872. It's never much nonsense, I'm usually pretty close. And oh wow, okay, slight detour from our planned programming. That is quite impressive, isn't it? That's a huge tabletop gravestone with the winged cherub, winged face at the bottom. Can't see anything on that writing wise. At the top there will be a skull and crossbones, I promise you. Yeah, you can just about see the skull. I put my finger in its eyes, and the bones. So that's a big chunky piece of stone. Right, and a fallen cross. If you want a gravestone that's going to last a long time, do not get a cross, because they will always fall over. No date. Okay, and down behind that we have got erected by the family in memory of George Donaldson from the 4th of November 1855, aged 64, and his wife 1863, and also their son who was 37, and William Donaldson's wife who died in 1895, aged 70. That's a lot of history on one stone. There are some really old looking stones here, like this one in front of us, for example, as if by magic, as if I'd actually planned this. So that is who died. Right, I am trying to see if I can see a date on that, and I don't think I can, but I will check and I will get back to you. Sometimes you see one wee thing and the rest of it falls into place, because it says who died 7th of December 1764. So yeah, we're back into the 1700s. I thought that one looked a bit old. Next to it there's a big chunky one. There's one that is broken in two pieces, but this one is the one we're going to look at, and that is James Hasty, who died at Borehills 30th of November 1850, aged 27, and his mother and his father and some other Hasties and Burnsies down the bottom. And here's a grand family. This is a loving memory of James Roger, who was the minister of this parish for 44 years until he died in 1849, and of his wife, who died in 1825. And the stone was put up by their son, who wanted to be more famous than his parents, because he's got more space on this stone than they have. He was the Reverend Charles Rogers, DD LLD, who was born at the manse here in Dunino, which is just over there. He died in Edinburgh in 1890, and he's buried in Grange Cemetery, which we are definitely going to be visiting. Grange Cemetery is quite a famous one in Edinburgh. He was the author of many antiquarian, biographical and historical works. Oh wow, that stone's quite impressive, isn't it? Look at the weathering and the lichen and stuff. And it's memory of George Cant Sculivia. Okay, bear with me, people. It's SCHOOL. I'm a idiot. Is it in memory of George Cant, schoolmaster? That's got to be the best one yet. Oh dear, I should give this up. Anyway, 1834, schoolmaster. Ian, you are a fool. A nice wee view back up towards the church. The weather today is much nicer than it was yesterday when we were in Edinburgh. As well as a church, Dunino is also well known for its pre-Christian pagan site, Dunino Den, that has a flight of stairs carved into the rock and an altar and a well and all the stuff that every self-respecting pagan would have wanted to have. Was this pre-existing religious site the reason this church was built here? No idea, but it's certainly an interesting thought. Oh, and there was also allegedly human sacrifice, but they always say that about the pagans. Okay, let's keep going and see if we can find any more wee bits of history. This one is in memory of Georgina Patterson, beloved wife of Charles Anderson, who died at Belly Bridge, 13th of July 1935. It is quite nice walking through these eclectic old graveyards. I mean, there's a little obelisky one, and there's a cross that's still standing, and in between them, I mean, they look more modern, but that one there looks really quite old. Let's have a look at this and see if it's got anything on it. It has at the bottom a loving memory of Annie, wife of William Lumsden, and daughter of John and Margaret Harris, who died 1880. There we go, we found a bit of information on that one. The one next to it is obviously people who are still remembered, because somebody died in 2018. That is quite recent. And moving back a little bit, this is from 1930. That's the other side of that old stone we were just looking at. It's got and again the writing there, corpse, CORPS, of, yeah, that's probably visible in the right light. Today is not the right light. Okay, let's keep going back up around this side of the church, which is sitting there. Funnily enough, it hasn't moved since the last time I showed you it. And another old one with the winged face at the top. This is such a nice wee churchyard, and it's such a nice wee day. I'm repeating myself, but there's a really nice variety of stones here. There's the top of an old tabletop tombstone. A very old tabletop tombstone by the looks of things, and there's one of those granite ones that you see. We see this style of monument everywhere. We've seen them down in England and up here, and they are so nice and they last so well, because even if that was to topple over, and it is sort of going at a bit of an angle, you'd just find it lying on its side and nothing would be broken. It would be able to put back together again quite easily. And this is in memory of my dear mother, Jeannie Templeton Reid, who died at Balcathley Farm in 1922, aged 61, and of her father, who died 1922. Over on this side there is quite a grand tabletop. Oh, and it's got lots and lots of writing on it. Now these are, in my experience, quite difficult to decipher when it's that worn, because sometimes you can't even see if it's got writing on it or what way up it is. This one is definitely the right way up. So let's see. Oh right, the first thing we see is a date, November 1808. And round on the front of the church there are some very grand looking little memorials, so let's head round that way and see what we can see. This is the first one. Oh, and it's got a little granite thing in the garden, and the granite thing in the garden is in loving memory of Colonel Sir Alexander Sprott, BTCMG, of Carkirk and Strathvithy, who died in 1929. He was a member of Parliament for North Lanark, and also of his wife, Ethel Florence, who died in 1930. Oh, I thought I was done with that, but the fourth daughter, Alex Isabella Sprott, who died in 1972, has got quite an interesting story. She entered the Russian Orthodox Church in exile in 1932, and as Mother Martha was head of a school of Arab girls at Bethany, and she is buried at Gethsemane. Okay, these are the stones at the back for the great and the good of the local area. That one is in memory of John Cleghorn, who's a colonel in the Madras Engineers and the elder son of Hugh Cleghorn of Strathvithy. He served at the capture of Colombo and the siege of, Seringapatam, and he died at sea. And next to him is Hugh Cleghorn LLD of Strathverney, Professor of Civil and Natural History at the University of St Andrews, who died in 1836 and is buried here. He was the agent through whose instrumentality the island of Ceylon was annexed to the British Empire. I bet he's really popular in Ceylon. And under the big window at the end of the church, there is a really nice little sort of private thing to the privacies of Kinley. Right, and these are from the 1900s, I think, 1820 on that one, 1860, 1931, yeah, so that is the Purvis family and the Cleghorn family competing for who's got the best memorial. And we're happy because we found a Euphemia. This was erected by Euphemia King in memory of her husband Thomas Watson, who died the 1st of April 1829, aged 78. I wonder where old Euphemia is buried. Hello, Euphemia's husband. We have now come round to the front of the church to see what we can see here. There's lots of gravestones standing with their backs to us, so I'm going to have to waffle until I can see what they actually say. This is from, straight away, this is a priest from 1883 till 1962, so that's very, well, comparatively very recent. And this one next to it is 1886 over there. And then we get this little sort of private walled off bit that I'm not going to step over the wall. I'm just going to use my dodgy eyesight to see Catherine Grange Douglas, who died in 1828. And then a cross that's still standing, but I can't read it from here. I really need to get my eyes tested. Yeah, so that's obviously a family plot there, which is quite impressive. And it's very, very well situated, kind of prominent in front of the church. These people over here must be quite important because they can still be buried in the old churchyard. That is from some of those are up to 2016, 2004, etc. A lot of these stones tell stories that are much more interesting than the ones that we would tell today. My story would not be anything as exciting as William Berwick here. He was the 5th son of James Wallace, a farmer, and Agnes Farmer, a farmer's wife, and he died at Melbourne 26th of February 1883. But then there's David, their eldest son, of the Public Works Department in India. He was born in New Zealand on the 18th of October 1847, died and was buried at sea the 5th of May 1889. Yeah, my story would not be that interesting. There's a flight of stairs at the side of the church. I'm going to go down for a wee look. This might just be a closed door at the bottom of this, but we'll go and find out. Oh no, it's walled up, whatever it is. Let's have some light on the matter. Alright, it has been bricked up comparatively recently. That is concrete blocks, so I'm guessing that must be a way into the old undercroft. Very interesting. Right, let's head back up into the daylight. Yeah, so we do hope you've enjoyed this little graveyard. It's another unexpected one. We came here to visit a thing that's down there called Dunino Den, and this was just here waiting for us, so it would have been rude not to stop by and say hello.